If I'm gonna spend almost $1,000 on something for my garage gym, it's gotta do two things really well. Number one, it has to fit my own particular training needs. And number two, it's gotta be versatile. It's gotta do more than one thing. So 2 years ago, when I bought this Torque Fitness M1 sled, I thought that it was gonna do those two things. So 2 years later, it's time to do a review, show you how it's held up, let you know did it live up to my expectations of doing those two things, and to let you guys know if it's gonna be worth it for your garage gym as well. Welcome back to the GymCrafter YouTube channel. My name is Tim. I'm the head gym nerd here at GymCrafter.com, the website that I built to help ordinary folks like you and I build home and garage gyms that we absolutely love. And I have something a little different for you today. It's not another barbell or dumbbell or bench or rack video. It's a review on a magnetic resistance sled. So when Torque Fitness introduced the Tank M1, it was one of the first sleds of its kind. Instead of you having to load weights on a big metal plate and drag them up and down your neighborhood and be embarrassed and have the neighbors wonder what the heck you're doing, it allowed you to put weights on a thing with wheels and push it up and down your neighborhood and have your neighbors think you were weird and ask you what you were doing. Anyway, at least it's a lot quieter, it's a lot easier to use, it's a lot more versatile than those old school sleds. And it's something that I really have enjoyed using over the last 2 years. To give you the short version of the review, I really enjoy the Tank M1 sled. There's a couple of things that I would change, which we'll go over in the review, but overall it was a really good purchase for me. And yes, as I mentioned in the intro, I did spend almost $1,000 of my own money on it. Torque has not sent me anything for free. I bought the sled, I bought some accessories, I bought a wall storage thing, and I have used this every month where it's been okay to be outside with this for the last couple of years. So I figured I'd show you what I like, show you what I don't like, and that way you can make a decision of whether or not this is gonna be something that you want in your garage gym. So let me first of all talk about, like I said, I wanna buy stuff that meets my particular training needs. And for me, there's a couple of things that I really struggle with. Number one, if I do a lot of heavy squats, I start having some hip pain, especially this hip right here. I start getting some knee pain. And as much as I enjoy squatting and as good as it is for you, and I still do it, barbell back squats really aren't something that are a main part of my training anymore. And one of the most detrimental parts of barbell back squats is the eccentric, it's the lowering motion. And with a sled, what it allows you to do is it allows you to do a leg workout where it's all concentric. In other words, it's all pushing. There's no load on the way down, it's all pushing up. So it allows you to really put a lot of stress and a lot of time under tension on your legs and get a tremendously good workout, and it's so much easier on your joints. I cannot tell you that when I'm done with a sled workout, it's pretty brutal if you do it right. It really, really strengthens your legs. You can build a ton of strength. You can also move things in different planes of motion. Squats are pretty much in just a frontal plane of motion. It's called the sagittal plane. And you're just this way. With a sled, you can pull it sideways, you can pull it backwards, which we'll definitely address here in a second. You can pull it forwards, you can push it. You can do all kinds of stuff with a sled that you can't do with a barbell. And as far as the versatility aspect goes, with this and a bunch of accessories, it's just an almost unlimited number of exercises that I've done using the sled, and I've really developed some good conditioning in my legs, some good strength in my legs because of it. I did write a couple of articles over on the GymCrafter.com website. I'll link those down below. Talk all about the sled, talk about reasons why you would want a sled, because this is really a review video. It's not a why you need a sled video, although I really think that sled work is something that everybody should be doing. You should find some way to do sled work in your routine, whether it's taking one of those old school prowler sleds, whether it's using something like this, whether it's getting one of these new treadmills that actually have the ability to mimic a sled. Doing resisted sled work is really, really beneficial for a number of reasons, and check out those articles. I also wrote a whole article on all of the accessories for the Torque. I'm gonna touch on a couple today, but there's a ton of accessories available, and if you're wondering what all you can do and what all you can add to this, that's gonna be in that article as well. But let's take a look at what I got, what I like to use it for, and the things that I like I said, the things that I don't like. So first of all, I really like how quiet this is. I used to use a standard, what's called a prowler sled, which is just a flat metal plate where you put some weights on top of it. And pulling that up and down the driveway, it makes a ton of noise. Anybody who was home would look out and wonder what I was doing. I couldn't do it that early in the morning. It would wake people up. And I'm not gonna I don't have a big enough space in my garage, Some of you have a big enough space in your basement to put a turf track up and down. I know Gluck over at Gluck's Gym just laid a turf track up and down the middle of his garage gym, and it's something I'm really jealous of. Aside from his garage gym expansion, definitely go check that out. But if you don't have room for that, like most of us, you're gonna be stuck outside. The other thing with those types of sleds is they don't really work on all surfaces. When you use a sled like this that's got inflatable tires and wheels on it, what that allows you to do is, I've used this outside on gravel, I've used this on my driveway, I've used this over grass, I've taken this in my car and brought it to places. I go on a retreat about once a year to a cabin that's got no Wi-Fi and things. I brought this the last time I went and pushed it up and down the yard in front of the cabin that I rented. It's really, really versatile as far as where you can use it. I've used it in the rain, I've used it in mild snow. Now, I probably wouldn't recommend getting it soaking wet, but I have used it in most conditions and it cleans up really nice. Now, I did clean it for this video. I haven't cleaned this thing in probably a year, and the amount of dirt and mud and gunk that I got off of this was pretty significant, but it's never affected how it works. I cleaned out all the stuff out of the tires, all the dust off the top, all the dirt and everything like that. Cleans up really nice. There's no rust, there's no issues with using it. And again, I don't know that I would get it soaking wet, but it is meant to be used outside, which I really, really like. Another thing that I like better than a lot of those prowler sleds is the way that you can push and pull this. So over here, you've got these handles, and they clearly come off pretty easily, where I've got a high and a low grip, and it allows me to push from a high angle and then get way down low and get at a low angle. Now, some sleds, they'll have these shoulder pad things that you can push on. I like those, but I don't think it's necessary when you have a low grip like this. And the neat thing about the Torque sled is on this side, I have a high and a low grip, and on the other side, I have a much even lower grip. So it's kind of like a high, medium, and low. And depending on how down close to the ground and how much you want to drive with your legs, using these and changing up these handle positions has been really beneficial. You can also pull the sled. So there's a little clip right here on the front, and it allows you to attach a couple of attachments. The two that I use the most are what are called a V-handle toe strap, and that allows me to attach two handles and to be able to pull it. Now, typically what I use this for is to pull it backwards. For those of you who have seen the knees over toes guy, and if you have an Instagram account and you follow anything fitness, you can't not have seen the knees over toes guy. But one of his big things is backwards walking, and actually him coming on the scene is one of the reasons why I bought this and started doing a lot of backward sled drags. I've traditionally had knee pain ever since I was a little kid playing Little League Baseball. For those of you who follow the channel, you know I'm made of some type of a combination of like porcelain and paper mache, and I break really easily. And backward sled drags have really, I don't have knee pain anymore. It's not like it made it better. It's gone, guys. And if I don't do the backward walking for a while, it does start to come back. I get back to the backward sled drags and it goes away. Now, I'm not a doctor with knee pain, but I gotta tell you that one thing alone has made having this sled worthwhile in my life. And I don't think I'll ever go through a training block again without doing some type of a resisted backward walking. Whether it's a sled drag, whether it's walking backwards on a treadmill, whatever it happens to be, that resisted backward walking has really, really helped my knee. Follow the knees over toes guy for a full explanation, but just take it from me, from somebody who's been doing it for 2 years, it really, really, really works. My other accessory that I use the most is actually a rope. And I put the rope onto here, and I'll get down into a nice kind of sumo stance, and I'll pull the rope hand over hand. And talk about a great back workout, a great grip workout. I know a lot of people are looking for ways to train their grip these days. That trains the heck out of your grip. It's fun, it mixes things up. You can actually get between the way that you push this, if you push it with your arms a little bit, if you pull, you can get a complete upper and lower body workout with just the sled. Throw in some push-ups, throw in some sit-ups, and you can really do anything that you want. They even make an accessory for dumbbells on here, so if you like doing circuits, you can load dumbbells on here. Now, that's not something that I've done, but it is something that you can do. So there's a ton of versatility. So as I mentioned at the beginning, did this fit my training needs? Absolutely. It helps with lower body pain in my lower extremities. It helps repair joint pain. It helped me with that backwards walking. Is it versatile? Yes. Between the rope, the V-handle strap, the 3 different positions of the handles, really, really versatile. I don't have them anymore, but I had for a while. They're wheelbarrow handles that you can attach here. And man, that's awesome as well. Really get your traps and your shoulders working. It's like heavily loaded carries, but because it's a single front wheel, there's a little bit of instability there. Man, it's just, again, check out that article I linked below about all the accessories that you can get for it. But those are the things that I like. Things that I don't necessarily like, and I'll give you a couple of them. Number one, This has 3 different levels of adjustable resistance, kind of a neutral so that it's easy to wheel it around without having to worry about the resistance. And then there's a 1, 2, and 3. For me, there's not enough difference between those levels of resistance. Number 1 is like almost like neutral. I never use number 1. Number 2 and number 3 are very, very similar. I really can't notice a huge difference. Now for me, that hasn't been an issue. I pretty much just keep it always on 3. I do wish that it had a 4 though. I wish that it had more resistance. Now you see the plates loaded on here. One thing that I think a lot of people mistake is this is not for resistance. Adding weight on here does not add more resistance. What the weight does is it gives you traction. So if I'm pushing this on gravel or I'm pushing this on kind of wet grass, having weight on here allows the whole thing to sink down and get traction. So I'm not just sliding it over the wet grass, but this won't add resistance. And one of the things that I wish this had was just one more notch of resistance. Now, does that mean that I can't get a great workout? No. The way that this works is the harder you push, the more it resists. So you can get more. It's kind of like using a good rower. The harder you push with your feet, the more resistance you have. If you've used the Concept 2 or used a magnetic resistance rower, you know that feeling that the harder you push, the harder it resists. So you can do that, but like I said, I do wish that it had one more level of resistance. Another thing that I wish it had is I wish it had this toe strap on both sides. Because what happens is, while you can push this both ways, you can't pull it both ways. So it can only be pulled from this side. And what happens is, what I like to do is I'll do supersets where I'll put either the tow rope or that V-handle strap on here, and I'll push it, 50, 75 yards, and then I'll pull it back. And then I'll push it, and then I'll pull it back. And you do that 10 times across a football field. And again, this works on all terrain. I've definitely taken this to a football field to measure the number of yards I use it. That is a workout. And what I don't like, and maybe it's me, is I don't like having to pick up the nose of this and turn it around and point it the other way. So that's something that I don't necessarily like about this. I wish that it had a toe attachment on both sides, but that's one thing I wish was different. Another thing I wish was different, and they've actually fixed this on some sleds. Now, if you're looking at this and you want to know a good alternative, if I was to buy another sled today, I definitely would buy this again. So let's get that out of the way. I would definitely buy this again. I'm happy that I spent the money. I've loved using it. However, I would also look at the ZBEX line of sleds, and I'll put a link to those down below. Those actually have a front wheel that turns. And that addresses not only the issue that I just talked about the ease of turning it around, so you would just be able to just turn the sled around if you wanted to, but if you don't line this up, it goes in a straight line. So if you don't line this up perfectly, you find yourself starting to drift off. And the ZBEX line of sleds actually allows you to turn the sled. It's got a swiveling front wheel, so you can turn the sled while you push it. And I think that would be kind of cool. Now, I've used that type of a sled, and that has its drawbacks as well. One of the things about it being fixed like this is you could really lay into this. You can push super, super hard. With the one with the turning front wheel, there's some instability there, so I didn't feel like I could get as strong of a push into it, and it's just a trade-off. So I don't know if I was to buy one again, if I would go with the ZBEX or if I would go with this. They both have their pros and cons. Then the ZBEX has, I think it comes with the wheelbarrow attachment. It comes with posts instead of handles so that you can really get a lot of variance on where you grip it. So it's got some pros and cons. Those would be the two that I would look at. So if you're looking at a sled like this, I would look at the ZBEX sleds. Like I said, I'll put a link below, and I would look at the Torque sleds. As far as the other Torque sleds for your home gym, they make an M4, I believe. I don't know that those are great for your garage gym. They're big. I mean, they're really big. They're great for commercial gyms. I think if you're gonna go with something for a garage or a basement gym, the M1 is ideal. Like I said, it's 800 bucks, and then the accessories are extra. And then one accessory that I have, what I really like, is these come off, like I showed you, really easily. This actually, front part, folds down as well. And this hangs on the wall. So even though this is relatively large, you can definitely hang it on the wall and get it up out of the way. And that's where it's lived the last couple of winters. And that's the other thing that I don't really like about this or the ZBEX. And to be very transparent, because I'm always trying to be really honest with you guys, I am probably going to sell this because I'm heading into winter again. It's still nice enough to use it. I'll probably use it. I'm recording this in mid-October here in the Chicagoland area. I've been able to use this until early December, typically. Once it snows, once it starts getting icy, once it's 20 below with wind chill, I probably could use it, I just don't. And that means there's about 3 to 4 months a year where I don't get to use this. And what I've been looking at instead is there are some really good, well-made treadmills that allow you to mimic sled work and then would also provide a treadmill. I don't currently have a treadmill. I miss having a treadmill. So again, back to is the thing versatile? If I could do sled work and also have a treadmill again where I can do walking, because another thing that I can't do right now in the wintertime is go on long walks. Just be aware that there is a weather restriction as far as how much you're willing to endure by taking this outside. So there's my very long, rambly review of the Torque Fitness M1 tank sled. What do you guys think? A, if you have one, let me know what you think. If you're looking at one, let me know what questions you have. And also, if you have one of those treadmills that simulate sled work, let me know what you have. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think I should buy, because I'm definitely like I said, at replacing this with one of those. And then also, if you do decide to go with one of these, if you do decide to go with one of those Z-Backs, the links below are affiliate links. I definitely appreciate it if you use those. That's how I fund the channel. That's how I buy expensive stuff like this, to use and test and show you guys a real review from somebody who's used stuff for a couple of years before he tells you what he thinks about it. And I hope you appreciate that enough to use those affiliate links if you're buying something. And if you haven't liked the video and you've watched this long, what are you doing? Like the video, hit that like button, subscribe, ring the bell, all that kind of fun YouTuber stuff. And until the next review or the next podcast, yes, there's a podcast. You're not watching the podcast? You should watch the podcast. But until the next review or podcast, I'm Tim with GymCrafter.